I think it's fair to say Dry Desert is not exactly one of the Mario series' most iconic locations ever, but not being a one-off is already more than what most Mario World locations can say. Dry Desert has been regularly revisited and has appeared in several sub-series of the Mario franchise, which is rare enough in and of itself, and it has now come to the point it is factually one of the most recurring locations in the entire series, even if it may not always feel that way. And now I hear you thinking, okay, so it has been in a few Mario Kart games, so what? But the truth is that Dry Desert is actually way more recurring than you may initially think. But because of shoddy localization, you haven't always been able to realize it. The first time we in the West set foot in Dry Desert was in Paper Mario in 2000. But what if I told you this location had at this point already existed for a full 7 years, and in Japan this wasn't the first, but the third time Mario visited it. In 1993, the puzzle platformer Mario and Wario released in Japan. And while it was originally meant to come to the West as well, a localization had even been showcased in Nintendo Power magazine, it eventually never did. And that also meant we could never officially play the 8th world of the game, known in Japan as Kara Sabaku. This name was as a result also never officially localized, but literally translated to English, it means Dry Desert. This is truly Dry Desert's debut game, and while the scope of the title obviously makes it hard to make out anything in general, it is worth pointing out that Pokies already appear in the background, which have since of course become a Dry Desert staple. Fiery enemies known as Gori also appear in this world, but those are probably more inspired by Super Mario Bros. 3's Desert Land and how that was associated with fire-based foes rather than the other way around. The next time Dry Desert would make an appearance, we in the West would also be allowed to experience it. Except we never actually realized where we were. Desert courses are a Mario Kart staple and have been present ever since the original Super Mario Kart. Here it was Choco Island who served the role of desert, according to the manual at least, and when Mario Kart 64 released in 1996, it was Dry Desert's turn. But the localization team didn't pick up on that and didn't translate Kara to the correct dry, but instead turned it into calamari, an inexplicable reference to the seafood. Maybe they thought that since it's an Italian word, it would automatically fit at home in the Mario world? Either way, it caused a situation where only few Western players realized that the location in Paper Mario 64 is actually in many ways a very cool reference to Calamari Desert, complete with the Dry Railroad as a nod to the train tracks prominently featured in Calamari Desert of course. But in Japan, it was all clear and obvious these locations were the same, they all had the same name. It wasn't until nearly the end of the Nintendo 64 that the localizers finally got the memo and Paper Mario's Kara Sabaku was localized in the way it should have always been, Dry Desert. This name was used again in Mario Kart Double Dash to correctly refer to Kara Sabaku, meaning that going forward this was the officially accepted name, even if Calamari Desert has remained unconnected going forward, whereas in Japan you basically have a Dry Desert 64 and a Dry Desert GCN. But since the locale is such a prominent location in Paper Mario as the setting of Chapter 3, one of the most memorable ones in the game I'd argue, it would have been a huge shame if the inconsistent naming of the past would have continued. Fortunately, that didn't happen, right? Paper Mario also further expands on the location, introducing an element which would later become recurring in and of itself, being Dry Ruins. And this is where everything goes off the rails again, to stick with the theme. Because while the Japanese version of Paper Mario calls Dry Desert Kara Sabaku, confirming it is the same place for Mario and Wario and Mario Kart 64, Dry Ruins actually has a different name altogether. English may link them together, but Japanese does not. Over there, the name of Tutankhamun's crypt is Arabin Iseki, which means something along the lines of Arabian ruins. As such, it doesn't refer to the Dry prefix at all. Instead, it contains wording inspired by our real world. Side note, but Italian makes it even stranger, calling this location the Rovan d'Egitto, ruins of Egypt. Make it make sense. Anyway, as established, the Japanese version of Paper Mario thus has a Dry Desert housing the Arabian ruins, and this name is actually retained for Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door, which doesn't physically feature it, but both places are mentioned in Lumpy's travel log. But here's the kicker. When Mario Kart Wii came onto the scene and featured a race course based on ruins in Dry Desert, the Western version accurately called it Dry Ruins, referencing the location from Paper Mario. But in Japanese, it's called Kara Kara Iseki, dry ruins, meaning that while it may appear to fall in line with Paper Mario, it actually does not. By Japanese logic, this is not dry ruins as it appears in Paper Mario, since that is called the Arabin Iseki, not Kara Kara Iseki. And if that wasn't convoluted enough, trust me, it's about to get even worse. Because while this race course may not share its name with the Paper Mario ruins, in Japanese at least, it does share its name with another location previously seen in a Mario game. But that one was then again not picked up by the Western localizers. Mario Party 5 has a 1v3 minigame, yes, we're going that deep, called Mario Mechs, which is a pretty fun one, where the sole player rides a robot with a gun, while the other three try to avoid them using scooter-like robots. The minigame is set in a sort of futuristic arena, almost like a simulation, and it features 3 different locations: Dark City, Star Hole, and Parched Ruins. Or how the Japanese original calls them, Dark City, Star Hole, and Dry Ruins, as in Kara Kara Iseki. Now, it's obvious just by looking at it that this isn't Dry Ruins or Dry Desert, but the original idea was clearly for the simulation arena to be based on the pre-existing Dry Desert, something which the Western localization completely ignored. This is obviously not the most egregious example in this video, that goes without saying, but it further makes clear how insanely convoluted the Dry name has become over the years. And guess what? We're still not done. Paper Mario Sticker Star is in no way, shape or form a return to tradition for the Paper Mario series, but there is one thing it brings back from the N64 original. Take a wild guess. It's Dry Desert. In Japanese. Level 2-1 of the game is once again set in Kara Kara Sabuku, although there is very little, basically nothing, to remind you of the Sabuku we visited 12 years prior. And maybe that thought hit the localizers as well, because rather than stick to the source material and call this Dry Desert, as it has become the staple at this point, they opted for Dry Bake Desert, which I suppose doesn't entirely abandon the localization's origins, but it's also hardly the clear confirmation Japan did get. Purely looking at the usage of the name in either English or Japanese, Dry Bake Desert is the last area introduced that can truly be considered Dry Desert. But there is one more place I want to look at, because its name deliberately plays into Dry Desert in a way I'm not entirely sure we can say the localization kept intact. I mean, it's not like Bone Dry Dunes from Mario Kart 8 completely ignores the reference being made here, it still has the word dry in it, but switching the desert for dunes is a weird call, considering what the Japanese original calls this place. It's Hono Sabaku, or Bone Desert, a clear nod that plays off Dry Desert. Not only did the English localization barely keep that reference in place, it also adds a previously unseen Dry Bones theme, as if this is its course. Remember though that Dry Bones wasn't playable in Mario Kart 8 for Wii U at all, and the course itself contains just as many nods to Dry Bowser and Bone Piranha Plant as it does Dry Bones. Making this whole thing even weirder is that several other languages outright call this track Dry Bones Desert, like Italian, German and more, but Dutch actually switches this and calls it Dry Bowser Desert. Point being, Mario Kart 8's localization teams had quite some creative freedom with these names, and especially in Bone Dry Dunes' case, really went all out with it. And it further cements that everything that has remotely to do with Dry Desert is doomed to be a localization nightmare for some reason. Let's see how this keeps up if they ever bring Dry Desert back. It's been a while right now, that's for sure. And that has been a look at the inconsistent, convoluted mess that is Dry Desert's name. Did you have any idea that there were so many places involved in this Dry web? Share it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like and subscribe to the channel to stay updated on all my future Mario content coming up. For now, thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.